Namaste, India. My name is Hemant Patel. Today, I would like to discuss about the glorious India, India's good side, bad sides, problems, and possible solutions in my perspective. Let me start with my introduction first. As I said, my name is Hemant Patel. I born in India, grew up in small village called Art near Navsari in Gujarat. I completed my mechanical engineering in SVNIT Surat. Then I worked first few years of my career in Gujarat Electricity Board. Then I migrated to America 25 years ago, finished my master's degree in computer science, currently working in a multinational company called Alcatel-Lucent for past 16 years as a software engineer. So during this career, I have mixed experiences, some experiences in India and some experiences in America. I don't have much experience, but I feel I have enough to share with you guys today. I never planned for this kind of speech, but currently I was listening Rajiv Dixit, and I'm really inspired by Rajiv Dixit, Gandhiji, and my current trip to India. I am no way expert in anything that I am going to talk or discuss today. And I believe there is no expert in this world or in any field. So I don't know much about politics. I don't know much about religious things. I don't know much about law. I don't know much about my own field, mechanical engineering and computer science. So with that, still I would like to discuss whatever I think appropriate to make India a better country. I will be using a lot of numbers during this speech, and I really suggest to you that please don't hang up with numbers. In my mind, numbers are just used to make your point, to give a reference, to give some perspective. It should be accurate at certain level in certain places, but it should not be always be accurate all the time. As long as it is good enough to prove your point, I think that should be good enough. In our mechanical engineering, we always assume that there is no way we can manufacture something with 100% accuracy. That is our first assumption. If we want to manufacture, let's say, 10 centimeter bolt, we design the drawing in such a way, we find the maximum length that can function properly, and we find the minimum length that can function properly for our purpose. So for that example, if we want to manufacture 10 centimeter bolt, we will never ask that the manufacturing company that make this bolt exactly 10 centimeter, because we know from our heart there is no way anybody can make the 10 centimeter bolt. So instead of that, we ask that, okay, make 10 centimeter plus and minus 0.5 centimeter. So in other words, now manufacturing company anywhere in the world, if it is in China, they know exactly what to do. They are allowed to make that bolt between 10.5 centimeter to 9.5 centimeter. And we know as soon as that bolt comes to us, if it is between that range, we are okay because we know it is going to function. So the whole point is, the numbers are important, but the accuracy depends for what purpose you are going to use. So I will have a lot of numbers. It will be accurate, but it will not be 100% accurate, but it will be accurate enough to prove my point. And I believe this is probably one of the reasons the acceptance of inaccuracy in engineering makes that field above many other fields. I'm sure you must have noticed that in past 50 years, the engineering, technology, science field has advanced so much. I would say in the advancement in past 50 years is probably much more than past 1,000 years. So the engineering technology has tremendous advancement in past 50 years. And I think the other fields like politics, law, religion, they should learn something about this tolerance. They should not hang up with numbers and fight for accuracy, go with fact check and reality check and all those kind of things. It is necessary, but not absolutely necessary, just like our engineering field. The acceptance of inaccuracy is very important. If other field would have accepted this kind of inaccuracy, and if they followed the engineering laws, then probably this world would have been a better place, could be like a heaven. Maybe there won't be any poor people. So anyway, these are my philosophical thoughts that what the other fields should be learning from engineering and technology. Now, I am going to cover a lot of areas, and probably this speech will be around 3 hours. I really suggest that you really listen this entire speech. The portion of speech would not make much sense. You will not get the context. However, I am going to divide this speech into multiple pieces. But as I said, if you just listen the small piece, it may not give the exact context. So please, if you have time and if you are interested, if you want to learn about India, I am going to talk very good things about India. I am going to talk some problems and issues and solutions about India. So if you have time, please listen the entire speech. It will be around 3 hours, but I am sure it will be worth time spending. Instead of watching one movie or serials, probably you will learn something about India and world and the engineering technology. So with that, now what I noticed when people talk or discuss about India or about anything, normally they would talk either everything good about India or everything bad about India. And I think that is not the right way to criticize any country or anybody. As we know, there is nothing perfect in this world. As I explained in my engineering example, you cannot make 10 centimeter exact bolt. The same way, there is no country, nobody, no society is 100% perfect. There are always good and bad sides, just like any coin has two sides. The same way, India has good and bad sides. So we have to talk both. So the listener would get a current picture of what we are talking about. And I will try my level best to touch base on good and bad side of India and what are the problems. And I believe whenever we talk about problem, we always should talk about the solution also. If we don't talk about solution, then probably that problem doesn't mean much, because who knows, there are no solution at all. And if there are no solution, then there is no point to talk about problems. So in today I will try my level best to suggest some of the solutions that I think of can be helpful to India and the world. Having said that, let me start first with the good part, the glorious India. Everybody knows that India was the richest country and glorious country for past so many centuries, especially 16th, 17th century. India had highest GDP, per capita GDP during those centuries. And that was the reason why Columbus attracted to India. And in fact, he found America instead of India. So that is the history. Now, India invented zero. India invented pi. Just imagine the world without zero, without pi. I can't imagine the world without zero and pi. That is my personal opinion. Pi, I think everybody knows about zero. If there is no zero, then this mathematics would be just 0 to 9, and I don't know what would happen after that. But for pi, maybe many people may not be familiar with pi. Pi is widely used in trigonometry, especially for circle and curves. For example, if you want to find the area of square, you would multiply two sides. Same way, if you want to find area of circle, you would need a pi. And in that case, you would do like for area of circle is pi by 4d square, means pi divided by 4 multiplied by diameter square. So I can't imagine geography without pi, and I can't imagine the world without pi. Then India also invented a binary system. A binary system is on the lowest level, I would say, it's like the lowest level language for computer, which computer can understand. It's like a string of 0, 1, 0, 1. So, for example, when we write India in English, we would spell India. Now, computer does not understand English, but computer on the lowest level understands the string of 0, 1. So what the computer scientists did they defined their own language. So for example, for I, it will be as the certain combination of a string becomes I, like 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 becomes I. For n, similarly, the different the combination of 0, 1 becomes n. And 0 in for computer, 0 means switch off, 1 means switch on. So based on that switch on, off, on, off, on, off, computer will determine what that thing means. So the certain combination becomes I, certain combination becomes N, D, and that is how computer decodes that and use it as the lowest level of instruction and works on that base. I know it's not that simple. I am trying my level best to make it on the simplest possible level where the common person can probably understand how the computer works. I know it takes a lot of time to understand how the computer works, but I just attempted by defining what is 0101, because that is the point over here that it is invented by India. Again, just imagine what would happen. Just imagine the world without this binary system, 0 and 1. India also invented decimal system. You know, decimal. Without decimal, I can't imagine much. It's all beyond my imagination. I also heard that India invented the first plane. India flown that plane from Maharashtra in 1895, few years before Wright brothers did in America. I don't know much, I don't have much proof, but if you Google, you will find it. Radio waves are used from your mobile phone to the cell tower. The mobile phone talks to cell tower through radio waves. They were invented by Jagdish Chandra Bose from India. Again, imagine the world without these radio waves. India invented chess. And I'm sure there are a lot more things that were invented in India hundreds of years ago, recently also, and that is not my main topic, and even I don't know, so I don't want to cover, otherwise my speech would be days and days and days. As I said, to cover India in few hours is impossible for anybody. Even to explain India in few days is extremely impossible, even for years, because India is a huge country with thousands of years of history. So it takes time to really understand, but unfortunately, nobody has that much time, not me nor you. Nobody has that much time to understand India or any country completely. So unfortunately, we will have to live with some high-level thoughts and discussion, and we have to go from there. And that is the attempt I am trying to do. Now, I traveled a lot during that trip with my family, my parents and my kids and my wife. We started a journey from Gujarat to Kanyakumari to Assam, Meghalaya, Cherrapunji, Rajasthan, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, and back to Gujarat. So try to cover almost all India within 20 days, which is again extremely impossible to cover entire India within 20 days. But we tried, and we had some glimpse of India within those 20 days. We had almost all good experience, and there are some minor hiccups, minor problems, but that's always happens any part of the world. There is no trip without any problem, but overall it was a wonderful trip. We enjoyed a lot, we ate a lot, and it was a lot of fun. And the highlight was I was amazed when I visited those temples, 3,000, 4,000, 2,000 years old temples. Being an engineer, that was the most amazing thing for me. I could never understand how those temples, those structures were built 3,000 years ago, when there was no technology, no computer, no CAD, no drawings, no engineers, no nothing. And I am still wondering how they were built. They build, but they still exist. That is another puzzle. How did they build so our those temples, those structures, those beautiful structures are still like that. It's really amazing to me. So I think there was some great technology, or there were some great scientists at that time, and they did all those things. Nowadays, when we build a house, within 50 years, 100 years, it will be again back to the earth. But those great temples and structures are still alive. Probably those are wonder of the world. I don't know why they are not part of the wonder of those worlds. Overall, I found India much better than before when I left 25 years ago. Cities are much better. Obviously, a lot of pollution now, but a lot of high-rises, a lot of overhead bridges. But I found villages are still probably the same or worse than before. Poor, probably more poorer, and rich peoples are richer, and probably the richest. So those are the things I personally noticed during my last trip. Let us talk where India is currently. Again, it will be very highlighted area, very focused, concentrated. There is no way I can cover everything, so it will be very limited. And whatever I thought interesting to me, and what I like to share, that is the only thing I would cover. I'm sure everybody knows about the Mars mission. There are only 4 countries in this world who has Mars mission. United States, Russia, Europe, and 4th one is India. Out of 200 countries, let me stop here. As I said earlier, I will be using numbers, for example, to make my point. It will not be accurate enough. I mean, it will not be accurate, but it will be accurate enough to make my point. So please don't hang up with my numbers, because I don't know exactly how many countries in this world right now. I Google every time, and every time I find a different number. But that is not the point here. The only point is, out of that many countries, only 4 countries has a Mars mission, and India is one of them. So as I said, accuracy is important, but at certain level. This is one of the example. There can be 200 countries, or my guess is between 200 to 250 countries, or let's say 175 to 250 countries. But again, that is not the point here. So India is one of those 4 countries who has a Mars mission. Now, India's Mars mission cost only 1/4 of USA. So 75% cheaper than USA. And if today is March 1st, 2014, if this mission gets successful, then India will be the first country who will have a successful Mars mission in the first attempt. But we still have to wait for that. This is really amazing. The only 4 countries of the world has Mars mission, and India is one of them. I'm really, really, really proudful about this Mars mission. Let's think about nuclear weapons. There are only 9 countries in this beautiful world which has nuclear weapons. India is one of them. India is 6th country in this world who has nuclear weapons. As I don't believe in nuclear weapons. I hope that whole entire world should not have a single nuclear weapon. That is my personal opinion. But 8 countries have it, India has it. Let's talk about GDP. India has the third largest GDP in this world. America, China, and third. In America, China, and India. Third country in the world. We have $4,716 billion per year. So, I mean, the GDP means gross domestic product. So India produces the goods and services of $4,700 billion. I believe America is in something like $16 billion. China is, I forgot, but India is about 4,700 something billion dollars per year. That is what we produce in a year. And we are the third largest economy in entire world of 200 or maybe 250 countries. It's really a proudful thing. And you will be amazed by my next statement that India is 7th wealthiest country in the world. 7th wealthiest country. It means if we have to sell India today, the entire India, so the price of whole India is like a 7th. America is the wealthiest country. India is 7th wealthiest country. India is worth of India is worth of $6.5 trillion. So it's kind of a price tag for India. If you have to sell India, if someone come from another planet and say, I want to buy India, our price tag will be $6.5 trillion. America is about 40 trillion. Again, these numbers are rough numbers, few-year-old numbers, and there is no way anybody would know the 100% perfect number, but it gives some idea where we are located. And in that price tag, actually 6.5 trillion, actually I don't know whether our money in Swiss bank, the money of our richest people, our politicians and so many business people and so many government people, you guys know that they keep their money hidden in Switzerland, Dubai, and I am not sure whether those money are included in this $6.5 trillion. If you find, please let me know so I can update my knowledge. I wanted to find, but it takes a lot of time to research everything. So if you research, please let me know. I am really interested in that. Who knows, if we include those numbers, then instead of 7th, India could be within, who knows, maybe 5, 3rd, 2, or who knows, number 1. Anyway, I think you got the point. I believe India, the people in India are very intelligent. From the centuries, Indian peoples are very rich, very intelligent, smart. And that is the reason you would see that in America, there are so many engineers, doctors working for American companies. I'm getting different numbers. Sometimes people say 30%, 40% of big American corporations are by Indian engineers. I don't know the exact numbers, but the point is it's substantially huge number compared to our population in America and in other countries. Our engineer scientists are well recognized in those countries and doing fairly good. Probably, I think they would have done much better if they were in India. But anyway, that's a different topic. But the point is, our people are very intelligent, very talented, throughout the world, recognized. So these are some very few example of current India. Obviously, that is not everything. I'm missing. This is probably not even the 1% of the real India, but obviously I have limited time, you have limited time, so just wanted to give just a glimpse of what we were. So looking at our Mars mission, nuclear programs, GDP, 7th wealthiest country in the world, and our intelligence, everybody should be very proudful of what you are. What you are from, I mean, you should be very proudful for India. Just imagine all of those examples, India falls between, let's say, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or at least under 10. Assume that, let's say, your son or daughter in class of 200, your son or daughter is 5th in science, 6th in mathematics, 4th in economics. How would you think? Out of 200 students, if your son or daughter falls under 10, how would you feel? This is the class of 200. Relatively, if you consider the class of 50 students, your son or daughter, let's say, 2nd or 3rd in all those subjects, I am sure you would be very much proudful for those achievements. Being a 2nd or 3rd in 50 student class, or being a 6th or 7th in 200 class is very proudful thing. So everybody, all Indians should be proud of their history and the current situation of India. I know we have a lot of issues, a lot of problems. That is the next thing I am going to talk. But besides that, I mean, every country, every society has those problems. So India is not exceptional. So we have good thing, we have bad thing. I finished my good thing. Let's talk about some problems and issues and what can we do about those problems. But my main message, be proudful of India. Whatever India has done so far is marvelous, great thing. And if we have done in the past, I am sure we can do in future. So I talked some good points about India. Obviously, we have so many issues and problems as well. So what are our major challenges? Again, major challenges. There are so many challenges. There is no way I can cover all challenges. But the major one, I would say population is the biggest problem. And most of the other problems are derived from that main problem. I know we cannot reduce the population, but I am sure we can always make it stable. For future, we can stay with the current population. That is practically humanly possible. Reduction is not the option. But we can always stabilize our population with some disciplinary actions. So I think we should think about that. Heavy corruption. Nothing new about that. Everybody knows. Wherever you go, people will just talk about corruption, corruption, corruption. That is corruption is a cancer of society or any country. I believe there is corruption in almost all countries, but it doesn't mean since all other countries have it, so we should have it. Probably it's very difficult or impossible to make any society or country with zero corruption, but we can always make it with the least corruption country. I would say there are two kinds of corruption. One is just a greediness, just to absorb money, wealth from poor people, from the country. And even though rich people or some people has money, they are never satisfied and do all kind of tricks and brings all the illegal money to their homes, which is really unfortunate for society and for the country. And sometimes I think there are like a forced corruption, and that corruption is, for example, someone probably in their own heart maybe don't want to do that, but by force they will have to do, because they are in those certain circumstances or situation, and they are not that strong enough to fight with those situations, and they will end up being that corruption loop. For example, if you are working in some government organization, and if you really don't want to, but if all of your bosses are corrupted, then probably you will have to. Otherwise, you become a weak link into that corruption thing. So that is, I would say, a forced corruption. People are forced to do that even though they don't want to. Many times you will have to pay some because you are so desperate, you are in so much in a big trouble in something, you really don't like to, you don't want to pay that corrupted money, but you will have to, because now you are forced by the situations or that thing. I am sure that is not the good thing, but it happens. I will talk more about my own small examples about corruption, how I dealt with the corruption when I was in India. I will use those examples not to brag myself, but if I don't give my own example, then probably whatever I am talking today will not mean anything. It's just like the string of words and doesn't mean any. I mean, you can give a nice speech all the time. You can read a speech or anything, but without your own some kind of experiences, those speech does not mean much. Does not add much values. It's just like a written thing, and that is the reason I will talk little bit about my experiences and how I dealt with corruption when I was in India. That will be next. So I'm talking about our challenges, so population, heavy corruption, and third one, the biggest challenge, the problem is uneven wealth distribution. As I said earlier, that India is 7th wealthiest country in the world. Now, if we are 7, that's really a proudful thing. But then what is the problem? If we are 7th wealthiest country, I mean, we are done. We are so good. We have nothing to worry about it. I mean, we have nothing to worry about anything. But the problem is our wealth is not evenly distributed. That is the problem. Even though we are rich, we are not distributed evenly. For example, you have a house, your father has, let's say, 100 lakhs rupees. You are 4 brothers, your father left 100 lakhs rupees. And out of those 4 brothers, one brother somehow takes 99.999 lakhs rupees and leaves, let's say, only 1,000 rupees for the rest of the three brothers. So that is, and I think from the ratio perspective, the India's wealth distribution, I think our ratio is even worse than this example. But I am just trying to give the perspective, how the wealth is distributed. So out of that 100 lakhs rupees, one brother has 99.999 something lakhs rupees, and the rest, let's say just 1,000 rupees left for 3 remaining brothers. So that is the situation, that one brother will live beautiful life with those 99 lakhs of rupees, whereas 3 brothers probably will not have enough food in their houses. So that is the situation. We have 6.5 trillion, and probably it is more than that, because my data is little older data. I could not find the latest data. So let's say 6.5 or $7 trillion, $250 billion are owned by the 100 richest people in India. So they own 3%. So 100 first, the richest people own 3% of India's wealth. And the remaining 1.2 billion people own the 97%. The biggest unevenness. We have many rich people. So the majority of India's wealth is owned by the minority of the rich people. And majority of the poor people owns almost nothing. And that is the reason so one would argue that, India is 7th richest country in the world with, say, $7 trillion, $6.5 trillion. Why don't we see, when we go on to India's street? When we go to India, any street on India, we don't see that wealthiness, we don't see that richness. And that is why we are called poor. And everybody argues that, no, we are not the richest. The argument is partially true, because we don't see that richness in the normal street of India. And the reason, as I explained before, is very simple. There is no rocket science. It's a very simple reason, that India's wealth is not evenly distributed. And that is the reason we see all this poorness. We don't see that richness on India's street. And that is the reason why India falls probably the 130th on world scale when we consider the per capita wealth. So it means we are, on the world scale, we are about 130 or 137, again that number keeps changing, but we are in that category. So based on the per capita wealth means the individual wealth, the average individual wealth. We are on 130th country, even though we are 7th wealthiest country in the world. So that is the unevenness. So because of uneven wealth distribution, we fall probably the 130th richest, or if you can say now, the poorest country in the world. And that is because the uneven wealthiness. We are not poor as a whole country, but we are poor as an individual citizen. The another problem is the dangerous relationship between the political system, I mean politicians and the big industrialists. They are buddy, and that is the most dangerous. When they are buddy, they can do anything bad to the country. So that is another big problem. Then the third problem I would say is our educated people somehow, I think I have a theory why somehow, but our educated people are staying away from political processes, which is very dangerous. They are staying away from the political process, so what happens? They open the door for those who really don't deserve to go into the political process. So that is the fundamental problem. Our educated people, smart people, intelligent people, knowledgeable people, those who consider themselves to be a good people. Normally we talk a lot, we talk, we discuss, we say this politician is bad, that politician is bad, that industrialist is bad. Yes, they are bad but why? They are bad, and if you think that you are good, then you should step up and do something about it. If you don't, then they will do. If you don't go in politics, that position is not going to be empty. Someone will fill out, and who is that someone? You know now. So if you are criticizing all those things, it's better you do something about it. Otherwise, there is no point of criticizing, including me. It applies to me also. Just by talking or giving this speech does not mean anything until you take some actions or if you do something. So this is my message to all of our intelligent people, smart people who are capable of doing something. Please go into the political process and try to change something. It's not going to change overnight, but it can be a good start. The another thing is imbalanced in intelligence distribution. For example, as I said, in past 50 years, the engineering, science and technology has done so much advancement. But why? I think there are reasons. Because if you see for past 50 years, all the smart, intelligent students were always going towards either medical or engineering, electronics, or science. And there were always the rank of people, the admission start for medical, engineering, electronics, mechanical, civil, chemical, blah, 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 and science and diploma engineering and all those things. So I think what happened, all those smart students went to the one side of the country, and the rest of the other sides like finance, law, or politics, or religion, not that many smart or intelligent students went there. And it's created, I think, some kind of imbalance in the society. So the most intelligent students went to the science technology, and you can see those fruits past 50 years around the entire world. There's a lot of progress. 50 years is probably more than past 1,000 years. And if that kind of intelligence was evenly distributed around among other fields, probably world would have been a little different. I know everybody want to go in the brightest or the career, but this is something to think about it. That if we can distribute this intelligence little smartly or evenly. So we can see all those intelligent students or people evenly in all other areas also. Another thing I noticed that many of our cream of India, best engineers, doctors, scientists, left India unfortunately and made a lot of progress or helped other countries like America, Canada, New Zealand, UK, all those countries benefited from our talented engineers, and it became like a brain drain for India. Another problem is, I would say, a caste system. That is also a cancer of our Indian society. In the society when 70% of people have to live in their inferiority complex since their childhood until they die, if they were tortured by inferiority, that if they are tortured every day, that you are somehow inferior in this society, in this country, what can they do in their life? If the 70% of population is artificially created inferior in their mind frame, if we tell them that you are inferior for somehow, I think it's very difficult for them to rise and to do something. So that is another problem. So in summary, heavy corruption, uneven wealth distribution, dangerous relationship between government and industrialists, and the lack of, the honest and educated people staying out of political process, imbalance, intelligence distributions, and our caste system are probably a major challenges or major issues in my perspective. There are many issues, many problems, and there is no way I can discuss all of those. So, well, as a summary, I would just repeat few things. As I said earlier, I am not expert in anything. I am not expert in politics, religion, finance, not even in engineering. And I believe nobody is expert. So that's how I deserve to talk something what I know or my views. Most of them my personal opinions, views, they are views and opinions, but that can be, you may not agree with my opinions, views, because I know I blasted some of the areas. So you may not be happy with me, but please forgive me. But I don't think there is anything in my experience that those are the facts, those are the real thing. And if you like, please learn something from that. But most important, my intention is not to bring anybody or any group of people or politicians or anything down. My only intention is to bring up these issues and my thoughts, my opinions, and I thought there is something can be done. We are not going to change entire India or anything within a day or within few years, but if we have some kind of good start, it can result somewhere, or it can at least benefit somewhere along the line. So that is the only reason I came up with this speech. I was inspired by few people, Rajiv Dixit, Gandhiji, and many great people. So in summary, just think India was a glorious country few centuries ago. We invented a lot of good things, zero, pi, binary system, plane, right? Radio waves. Currently we are doing great. We have a Mars program. Only 4 countries in the world has Mars program. Only 9 countries has nuclear weapons. We are one of them. We are 7th richest, wealthiest country. We are 7th wealthiest country in the world. Unfortunately, our capital, unfortunately, we are 130th in capital wealth. But besides that, we are 7th wealthiest country in the world which has about 200 to 250 countries. We are 7th. We are 3rd in GDP currently. Our people are smart, intelligent. And my message is that our intelligence should be evenly distributed among all the fields, not only engineering, medical. It should be among all other areas, so the intelligent people can make some bigger differences in other fields as well. We have already proved engineering and science, which is on the top now. Can't imagine our science and technology can bring people to moon. There are many people, they cannot even go to the next street by themselves. Even if you give them a direction, they will not be able to go to the next street. Think about the science and technology. Now, human could go to moon. We are going to Mars. Who gives those directions? How these things are made? Amazing. Look at the ancient India. We have 3,000-year-old temples. They are still like us. Like, great. I don't have enough words. And another important message, I think I'm just keep repeating, all the smart people, intelligent people should start moving towards the political process. That's the only way to change India and to our political process. That is probably the best way to reduce corruption and inequality. So again, thank you very much for listening me. Jai Hind, and God bless India, America and entire world. Once again, Jai Hind. Thank you. Bye.